My wife wouldn't allow my adolescent daughter return home as she isn't considered family. She acknowledged that she was envious of my daughter after our argument. Anna is 16 years old. When I was 24, she was an accident. Since Anna was born, her mother and I have maintained a cordial and pleasant co-parenting relationship, and we have become close. However, we were never a couple because it was a one-night stand. My daughter has been living with her mother and stepfather on a different continent for a few years, but she wants to return since she loves her friends and family and doesn't feel at home there. Since speaking your own tongue is different from making friends by learning a foreign language from scratch, Anna feels quite alone there because she doesn't know their language well and is still having trouble learning it completely. We decided to let Anna live with me after talking with my daughter's mother. Her room is presently my home office, but I can simply set up another room for her. We didn't confirm anything. I discussed it with my wife first. And since we had previously discussed the potential, I knew she would be cool with it. My wife doesn't want it to occur, which is the issue. Since they only met in person at our wedding, when I was able to get a ticket for my daughter to attend, my wife and Anna have never been close. I also didn't see my daughter again in person after that. Although plane tickets are too costly, they do occasionally, but not frequently, converse when I video contact Anna every day. Even though they only see each other via video call, Anna talks to her brother, and he really likes her. My wife claims that Anna won't feel at home in a house full of strangers. I reassured her that we are practically her family, but she refused. They hardly know Anna in person, therefore she and our kid are not her family. Although I respect her viewpoint, it truly pains me that she holds that opinion. Even if our toddler is Anna's brother, her statement greatly irritated me since our child genuinely loves his sister, even if they only interact with her virtually. My wife and I got into a fight over it, and I told her that my daughter will always come first because it's true. She was completely aware of my daughter when we were married, and my children would always come before anybody else. My wife became irate and declared that she didn't want to be a stepmother and that bringing Anna home would alter our behavior. It's not the same as having her here every day, she remarked, because Anna lived with her mother on another continent. I informed her that while I would be taking care of her as usual, no one was asking her to be a stepmother. Since I was a single parent for a long time and knew how to care for my daughter, I would not delegate all of the labor to my wife. My daughter used to spend many days or even months with me, and I was the one who looked after her. I cook, clean, and work. When she works and wants to go out and do something similar to what she does with me, I look after our son completely. I don't know why many people are so startled that I accept responsibility for my own child, but we both help each other raise our son. However, she is free to leave the house and stay in a hotel room if she doesn't respect my daughter's being there and despises it that much. Obviously, those remarks turned out badly, and our disagreement became worse, so I was a huge fool. Although my wife doesn't want it, my daughter is perfectly entitled to reside in my home if she so chooses. I adore my wife, but my first priority is raising my kids to be the greatest versions of themselves. I would also want to see my princess again after all these years. My wife is furious, and hasn't spoken to me at all. She still maintains, however, that she doesn't want Anna here at all, and I know that I will become irate, and that we will end up fighting once more since I too can't leave my daughter alone. I talked to my wife about that, and the prospect of Anna's family coming back to the country if things didn't work out, so she was always aware that Anna lived with me a few days a week while she was still in the country. That would have meant that, as usual, Anna would return to live with me for a few days or possibly months. My daughter used to visit my home daily as well. When we discussed it years ago, my wife agreed, but she now acknowledges that she believed my daughter would continue to live abroad with her mother due to their successful company. My kid also uses Reddit, so throw RA. To make it less evident, I made some changes to the data. Edit 2. I've spent the last 2 hours reading the comments non-stop, and I've got too much on my mind. I really appreciate the advice. Positive or negative, this is assisting me in thinking about a number of topics that I had not considered. However, because I'm a real person, please don't be too judgmental. Op has responded to pertinent comments. We had the conversation with his wife since she is aware that my daughter used to reside in my house prior to her departure from the nation. My wife tells another poster that she always thought my daughter would live with her mother. She mentioned that now rather than when we were married. She just replied she was fine with it when I brought up that option to her years ago. She now acknowledges that she had assumed Anna would remain there. Commenter, do you think your marriage will endure if she doesn't alter her mind? Oh no, is he sincere? No, not at all. Despite my love for my wife, my kid no longer feels secure or accepted at her school. Commenter, I don't want her to feel that way here either. Regarding the kid you two share, what will you do? My son will never experience homelessness. Oops. The best course of action would be to get along with my wife. However, if she keeps refusing to let my kid visit, we will end our relationship. In addition to making sure she and our kid have a decent place to live, I'm going to try to get a cohabitation agreement or a 50/50 parenting arrangement, as I did with Anna. I would go see my daughter every day and take care of her, just as I did with my daughter. I wouldn't argue with my wife or put our son through adult stressors. Comment on her without taking sides. However, your kid also departs if your wife does. Everyone is yelling. Prioritize your child. You could have a 50/50 split between your son and your daughter. It's far more difficult than you may imagine, in my opinion. Oh, I see. I had also been considering it. I don't want to believe that if I divorce my wife or we break up because of this, I'll have a tougher time seeing my son or how co-parenting would be with her. Co-parenting with Anna's mother has always been incredibly simple since. We've always been close friends and there has never been an argument. Update 1 May 15, 2024. I apologize, but I had to remove the post since someone started sending me unsolicited private messages using several usernames, and I'm not sure if I can make the account private or anything. I'm too old for this, so I'd rather publish the update here where I can at least shut the comments. I don't use this site often, but a bot started messaging me asking if I needed assistance. I suppose the person could have my account blocked for doing this. If anyone is interested, I suppose the post will be available. I want to start by making it clear that I'm from a third world nation. The cost of a plane ticket is quite high here, and if I go, I have to take my wife and our son along, so it's too much for us to afford. Like every parent, I want my daughter to have better possibilities in life, therefore I let her go to another country with her mother. That doesn't make me a terrible father, in my opinion, but I suppose those who have always been privileged don't get it. My daughter's wedding was the last time I was able to purchase tickets. Not everyone is fortunate enough to be able to afford an airline ticket. I've given it a lot of thought, and I'm the because of how I handled my wife. Despite my anger, I don't think it was appropriate to say that to the lady I love, even if the majority of the comments agreed with me. I apologized to her for what I said and how I said it. But I also told her that I don't like it when she refuses to listen to me when I try to discuss our problems, and that it was cruel of her to deny our son and daughter's familiarity. She said she was upset and said she regretted what she had said. I explained to her that Anna was coming because, in addition to moral reasons, no one could legally prevent any of my children from living with me. However, I am legally required to provide a home for my son and daughter. I asked her how she would feel if we were divorced and my new girlfriend wouldn't allow our son live with me since she didn't sign up for it, and she attempted to argue. I questioned her on whether she would value a man who leaves his kids for a woman more than a man who takes care of them, and whether she would feel secure in her marriage to a man who does so with such ease. My wife answered no, stating that she is well aware of my deep concern for our kids and detests men who desert their children. That she watched how I made daily video calls to my daughter, who lived so far away, and how we constantly helped each other out around the house, and she knew she wanted a kid with me. When I questioned her why she didn't want my daughter to be here, she confessed that she was envious of Anna, which is something I've seen before. For instance, I sent money to my daughter's mother to purchase her a very costly garment for one of her birthdays, and my wife simply replied, "I guess you will buy our son something just as expensive." I should have taken the remarks more seriously, but I thought they were just strange jokes. "I don't want my daughter to come and take time away from our son," she stated. That disturbed me, so I explained to her that, as a parent, I could devote the same amount of time to both children, even if we had two. She is aware that Anna is not a troublesome adolescent and that altering our schedule need not be a bad thing. I told her that I just wanted to make things work for us both throughout our lengthy conversation. I told her that I wanted to truly hear what was upsetting her so that we could better understand one another, and I apologized if my treatment of her had caused her any distress. We decided to talk and communicate about these kinds of issues more effectively. Despite feeling terrible for feeling that way, my wife acknowledged that her envy is bad and that she is humiliated about it. Since I'm not going to abandon my daughter to live in a place where she doesn't feel loved, I told her that it would be okay to begin seeing a psychologist if we wanted to resolve this. I also reminded her that feeling and being envious of my daughter are wrong. After much discussion, my wife agreed. She wants to improve herself since she dislikes feeling that way about a young girl and knows it's bad. My wife and children were always treated with kindness. My wife normally chats a bit but not a lot when I have video conversations with Anna. I believe I made a mistake by not allowing my wife to have video calls with Anna alone, as Anna occasionally does with my toddler. I don't want my kid to know how my wife truly thinks about her since she genuinely likes her and calls her aunt even though they don't know each other well. In order for my wife and my daughter to play together and get to know one another better, I offered to teach her how to play the same video game that I play with my daughter. I knew Anna would enjoy it. They have many of the same interests. She stated she loved me and wanted to try it for both our kid and myself. I would be wrecking my son's house if I divorced my wife. He is also my baby, and I don't want him to be impacted by adult issues. I adore this woman, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to do my bit to make things work, but she treats my kid poorly right away. I informed her that I would be ending our relationship, and she agreed, promising to work with me on this. Since I need to set up the room for our daughter first and I want my wife and young child to get to know each other better, I haven't yet confirmed anything with Anna's mother on the date on which our daughter may arrive. I've also discussed this with my psychologist. The best course of action, he said me, is to gradually get them closer before Anna moves in. My wife and Anna have been conversing more over the past 4 days, and I suggested to Anna that we educate my wife how to play with us. My wife and Anna have a really easy conversation, and they have begun discussing strange topics, which makes me uncomfortable since I don't understand what they are talking about. However, I'm rather happy to see that they have topics of conversation. Since that's what the most of the comments informed me, I guess many people will label me a fool for not divorcing my wife. However, things are more complicated than that. We disagreed, so we decided to get a divorce with 50/50 in custody. In my opinion, it would have been better for us to have acted like adults and not just seek a divorce. Observing that my wife is attempting to resolve the issue and has opened up to me, I would rather give this another try in the hopes that she will accept my kid as a friend and, if she permits it, as family. Nobody can predict the future to tell you that your wife would mistreat your daughter. However, I can act to prevent that future from occurring. Since my wife has never acted badly towards my daughter and we always encourage her to talk to us about anything that makes her uncomfortable, I would prefer to keep a positive attitude in the interim. My daughter also knows that she can talk to her mom, stepdad, or me if she feels uncomfortable. Given her quick tongue, I doubt Anna will remain silent if my wife says something that bothers her. I don't want them to be best friends, I want them to be free to be themselves. A lot of people in the comments recommended using my daughter as a free babysitter, but I'm not going to do that either. She and her brother are free to stay in this house for as long as they like. Edit. Several individuals claimed in the prior article that my wife also posted here, but that is untrue. She doesn't use this site frequently either, and I'm not sure why, but I've been receiving a lot of private spam messages from accounts that were established today, as well as notifications from that bot from a Redditor who believes I need help. Relevant comments where Op has responded, "Commenter, if your wife doesn't get over her jealousy, you'll have to make a decision." I'm not sure who's doing this, and I don't get why it's enjoyable to be so obnoxious. Just block me. Hopefully she will improve, because she accepted responsibility for how terrible what she said and done was. Yes, I have made it plain to my wife that I will always choose to shield my kids from people or circumstances, so there won't be a second chance if her jealousy flares up again. Do you intend to leave your wife and daughter alone, commenter? Well, they are currently video chatting with me. My daughter will have video calls by herself if she wants to speak with my wife exclusively. My daughter is intelligent and witty, and she will tell me, her mother or her stepfather, if she feels uneasy about something my wife does. I wanted to ask if you would feel at ease leaving your wife alone with your daughter while she stays with you. Yes, as I mentioned in the article, it would be wonderful if my wife keeps improving her behavior and is receptive to a close relationship with my daughter. They are having video chats together for that same reason, to make sure they and I both feel at ease living together. Just because she is okay with your daughter during video chats and treats her well doesn't imply she will act the same way while your daughter is at home, especially if she doesn't want her there. Oh, and it doesn't imply that she will treat her poorly. We could speculate about what will happen all night long because neither you nor I can predict the future. I would rather consider what's best for everyone in my family, and I have faith that my wife wants to get professional therapy to better herself and others. If the wife feels uncomfortable, she should know that she may talk to you. It's unlikely that this will work out. While my wife is aware that she can discuss anything with me, as I mentioned in the article, she has been honest with me about her true feelings, and we have been having frank conversations. June 23, 2024, Update 2. I didn't give updating another consideration until I realized I had the account, so I reasoned, why not, since I am now taking care of my child and have spare time. The connection between my wife and daughter is doing great. They both use video chats to watch shows that they enjoy together. To be honest, I feel a little excluded today, but I believe it's a good thing that they have even begun to use inside jokes that I don't understand. Both my wife and I have been seeing a psychologist. Together, I hope we can both recover. To work on her issues and anxieties, since she understands that it is not nice to feel envious of my daughter. A few weeks ago, she apologized to my daughter for her thoughts towards her. When my daughter found out that my wife felt this way, she was astonished, but she accepted the apologies and assured her that she understood. In order to give them solitude, I left them conversing alone that day, and ever then, their relationship has grown closer. According to my wife, my daughter informed her that she will always like someone who genuinely aspires to improve themselves. Many people said in the previous article that I chose to bring my daughter without first discussing it with my wife, but that is exactly what I did. I never confirmed anything to my daughter's mother until I spoke with my wife, and by the way, I was never her mother's partner. She was referred to as my ex-wife in several remarks, yet we never had anything in common. My wife began talking about how she wanted to design the bedroom, which put a stop to our conversation about bringing my daughter back since I wanted them to get to know one another better before moving in together. Rejected every one of my suggestions, saying they were too dull for a girl. As a result, she is enjoying remodeling the room with our toddler, who is thrilled to see his sister in person. Although everything is moving forward well step by step, we still haven't set a date since my daughter's mother needs to speak with her high school about issues there and everything else. And I also need to get everything ready here. Update 3 September 12th. 2024. New update. Hi there. Since my daughter has been living with us for weeks, I just wanted to give you one more update before canceling the account, since I don't see the need to keep it up to date. She gets along great with my wife. She is adored by her younger brother, and they may now finally meet in person. He can't wait for her to return home. My wife has been putting a lot of effort into improving herself, and I've seen positive changes in her, as well as a positive relationship with my kid. I became particularly aware of it when my wife was ecstatic to meet my daughter when we went to pick her up at the airport. For months, they had been viewing films together on the internet. I know that she is trying, even if it takes time, and she is no longer envious of my kid. My kid will have to wait until next year because she hasn't begun school here yet. Anyway, because the tickets will be significantly more expensive in a few months, we made the decision to bring her now. My spouse informed me of this and said she was prepared to meet with her face to face. Her saying that made me very delighted since I didn't think she would feel comfortable telling me that right away. Despite living in a beautiful and secure place in Asia, my daughter found it extremely difficult to adjust, and the bullying she experienced was particularly severe since she struggled with the language. Despite their frequent texting, she occasionally clearly misses her mother. In order to prevent her from missing her mother and stepfather too much, I make an effort to spend as much time as possible with her. She has also met my wife's family, and I also take her to see our relatives. She has informed me that she misses her grandparents, uncles, and cousins, but overall, I know she is content here. Her return has made the entire family very delighted. Both my spouse and I are doing really well. Additionally, I've improved myself by attending therapy today. Whenever we have issues or are unhappy, we communicate a lot. The important thing, in my opinion, is that we may talk about anything, including gloomy ideas. Although she has dark thoughts like everyone else, I know she is a decent person because she strives to better herself, just as I do. I know she's a decent mother who wouldn't mistreat my daughter, and I adore her. Even though I often find it difficult to comprehend that my daughter now does all of that on her own, and I don't have to do it, I still like taking care of our kids, cooking for them, cleaning and seeing to their needs. She is still little in my eyes, just like her brother. Anyhow, I apologize if this is a dull update. Everyone was expecting me to file for divorce from my wife, but fortunately, we are beginning to work things out. They are now buddies, and if they are content in that way, I enjoy it.